What's up, everybody? Hurricane Nicole has made landfall outside of Stuart, Florida, on Hutchinson Island near Jensen Beach. Just shy of a hurricane, you need winds sustained at 74 miles per hour to be a hurricane. The eye wall is now over land, and Florida is getting a lot of rain. We're going to have rain all over the state of Florida, and sustained winds to the north side of the storm are pushing 50 miles per hour as far north as Georgia and South Carolina. The areas of Melbourne, Titusville, Stuart are going to receive a lot of rainfall, a little bit of wind, just under hurricane force. It is now 1:29 a.m. and it's a good thing that this storm hits at night and it wasn't Hurricane Ian that hit at night, because there's nothing more terrifying than a powerful hurricane making landfall in the middle of the night. Tomorrow, the Tampa Bay area will wake up to a lot of rain and wind, and it will be a mess throughout central Florida. With a large wind field offshore, the Georgia and South Carolina Atlantic coast will definitely feel the effects in some way or another. The entire east coast of Florida, north of West Palm Beach, can expect to see winds and heavy downpours. Beach erosion has already been reported along the Florida east coast, and it will likely be one of the biggest impacts of this small hurricane. The impacts of this system will be much smaller than the impacts of Hurricane Ian. Localized flooding could happen in central and south central Florida, areas like the Caloosahatchee River and the Peace River in particular, as well as the Mayaka River. These areas, you need to keep an eye out for flooding if there is a lot of rainfall. With sustained winds of 70 miles per hour, it is just shy of being a hurricane. However, a few miles per hour really isn't that much of a difference. We can expect overnight to have winds of 50, 60, and perhaps even gusts of over 70 miles an hour, anywhere from Melbourne, Titusville, and moving up to the southeast area of Orlando. The last thing Southwest Florida needs right now is more rain and wind, especially people who have lost roofs and have roof damage. This will be the first considerable rain event for Southwest Florida since the hurricane. Many properties in Southwest Florida have tarps on their roofs, or pretty much open roofs or open windows, and these properties are going to once again see rain, and there's still people living in these houses that no longer have adequate roofing. We can imagine that with thousands of houses that have roof damage, a lot of these people are going to have a river of water flowing in through their roof, through their ceiling, and into their homes. It's going to complicate things infinitely for Southwest Florida. Although the effects overall in Southwest Florida are going to be minimal, other than a few rain bands, you'll see that winds in Sanibel offshore are going to be pushing something around 40 miles per hour, just the wind gusts. That's not really the problem. The problem is really going to be for those people in older parts of Fort Myers, older parts of Pine Island, and the older neighborhoods of Port Charlotte, where they had a lot of roof damage. And as these rain bands come in, they're going to put a lot of water inside of houses that have, since the hurricane, not received a lot of water. So it's just going to aggravate the situation for a lot of people in Southwest Florida. Tonight, Southwest Florida isn't going to have incredible effects from the storm, but for those people who have roof damage and who are missing parts of their roofs and they're still living in these houses, their nightmare is going to get complicated as heavy rain bands push into places like Punta Gorda, North Fort Myers, Northport. It's the last thing these people need. It is possible that the Big Bend region of Florida and the coastline north of Tampa could avert considerable storm surge flooding along the coast. It's all going to come down to the direction of the wind and which exact course the hurricane or the tropical system takes, since it really doesn't take much of a difference. 15 miles to the west can make the difference between complete storm surge and having no storm surge at all. It's about the specific place where the hurricane is at. So we still don't know if the Big Bend region of Florida is going to have storm surge, but it doesn't look like it's a worst case scenario for the west coast of Florida with storm surge. Beach erosion will be considerable along the east coast. It already has. Tonight, like I said, we can expect those rain bands to come in all the way from Lehigh to Port Charlotte along Interstate 75, anything north of Fort Myers, and all the way across Alligator Alley. These rain bands are moving to the north as well, and they're not going to move any further south. So areas like Miami, Hialeah, you're going to be kind of out of the worst of it for the rain bands, as it seems that the rain bands have started to slowly shift north away from Miami area. As is typical, as the system moves further to the north into North Florida, South Georgia, we can expect rain to be a huge problem for places like the Mayaka River, the Peace River, and of course the Withlacoochee River. These are areas that are known to always have some type of flooding situation after a system comes through. And just because it's not heavy winds, that doesn't mean that there won't be flooding, and it's going to be localized. It's going to depend a lot on how saturated the ground is. We know there's water from the last hurricane still around saturating the ground. So this is all going to be waiting to see exactly what the effects are going to be. The situation for Florida could have been absolutely much worse if this storm had been 20% stronger and had landed perhaps 100 miles or even 80 miles further south and just came across to Southwest Florida. It would have been a complete nightmare for the people of Southwest Florida that still have garbage, debris, and all types of damages from Hurricane Ian still on the ground. So this is definitely not the worst case scenario for Florida. We will get through this, guys. Thank you so much for watching our video on this update. We have another hurricane in Florida. Luckily, this one wasn't as disastrous as Hurricane Ian. And as this system moves further into Georgia and other states in North Florida, we could probably expect to hear news stories about flooding in that direction. My heart just goes out to the people in North Fort Myers, Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, who suffered from Hurricane Ian. They had roof damages, and now these heavy rain bands are moving right over them. These people are not going to have a very good time sleeping tonight, as what's left of their homes is once again going to be flooded by torrential downpours. My heart goes out to the people of Charlotte and Lee County. A lot of people are going to have a very disappointing night tonight with the rain.